of the bees!
The bees!
Bees!
The bees! I'm amazed that this works as well as it did. This is like so crazy.
There's one thing that stands out to me as a really common mistake.
Thanks to Vessi for sponsoring today's episode. Stick around to the end to get $25 off their brand new Everyday Move sneaker.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Visual Effects Artists React. We're here joined by the one and only Seth Rogen.
Hi!
You're probably wondering why Seth is joining us on the show.
I forced myself on the show, and and I've learned a lot from watching your show, and I think it's a show that filmmakers, all filmmakers could learn from. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, my goodness.
You are a very accomplished producer and director. You have experience being in the thick of it.
Yeah, on all sides, acting with visual effects people, directing, producing.
Well, let's jump into some clips. We got some movies that Seth has worked on and been in, and maybe a couple to roast.
So to start things off, I wanted to take a look at An American Pickle because, Seth, you play both of the main characters in this movie. And that's not an uncommon thing. I mean, we've seen that before with like The Parent Trap and lots of other movies, but what makes this movie really interesting is that the beard that you're wearing, you know, most people would just have that be like a fake beard so that you can actually produce it all at the same time easily. But you guys insisted on having your beard be real.
Yeah. There are certain things that I just think they have not achieved in film, and a good fake beard is one of them. Like, you watch The Avengers and the fake beards don't look good. Like, you could literally have like the most resources available to a film, and a fake beard just isn't quite there. I feel similarly about like car green screen driving. Like, I will watch the most expensive movies and be like, that's not a real driving shot. Like, they just didn't, and it's not for lack of money. It's hard to do. That was the thing with me, is like, I have a beard in real life a lot of the time, so people know what I look like with a beard as well. And so I was adamant that we don't use a fake beard.
That creates a very interesting problem, because now you have to shoot everything and then go back and reshoot it in the exact pixel perfect way you did to begin with.
Yes.
How much time was there between when you started shooting all of the Herschel stuff and then when you had to shoot the Ben stuff later?
Basically, one day I switched over. We shot, it was probably a month of shooting the Herschel stuff, and then I shaved, and then a month, but it was weird because we shot the whole movie twice, essentially. We were going back to all the same places, so that was really weird. And the seasons changed and shit like that as we were filming, and so it just like everything looked way different at times, like, and so like we just couldn't go back to the same location, so it was hard. I was often acting to a nobody or a tennis ball or someone just looking at me. That was weird because it was supposed to be very naturalistic, but I was not talking to anybody. The hardest thing was tracking where people are looking and shit like that was really hard. And
the timing.
I would have beeps in my ear that were signifying when to pick things up, when to do things. So I would be hearing dialogue, I'd be hearing my own lines that I would be responding to, and then there'd be beep, 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 and on the third beep, it means he sat down, and then I continue the scene, and then I will hear the beeps, and on the third beep, it means he stood up and went over there, and then I'll hear beep, 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 and throughout the beeps, it means he's like getting up and walking over there. And then the result is like nobody notices. It was so hard sometimes, and we would do like 10 takes to get the timing right. It would just be like, great, we got it to the point where like no one will think we did anything.
I get it. For a lot of this stuff, I'm like, okay, you keep careful track of where the tripod is placed, where the camera is, the corners of the frame, and then you can replicate that later. But there's a couple shots that kind of confused me. I was like, wait, how did they do that? And one was when you guys were like walking through the park, you guys are walking next to each other, and I was like going through my head, like the numbers are flashing around the screen. I'm like, okay, you filmed it for real in the park with you walking, and then you had to film the other you on a green screen, and you had to match it up and track it into the shot. And then I saw the behind the scenes, and it was just like both of you guys were on a green screen. Both of yous were on a green screen.
Well, we also did a version with me not on a green screen.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Probably mostly for reference. I'm not sure what ultimately was used, but we did it every which way.
But out of everything, there was one shot that literally made my jaw drop, and it was when you're in the forest towards the end of the movie, and you push over a tree.
Yeah.
Because I was instantly like, okay, you're in a location and there's two of you actually interacting with a real object there in the forest. So what's your insight into how that was done?
We went back to this same spot a few weeks apart. If you were to just take the backgrounds of each shot, they would be different. And this was like a thing that was built.
The reason why I think this shot works really well and sells that you two are together is something I didn't realize until basically just now. I remember you guys pushing on the same log.
Yes, 2 different logs.
It's 2 logs.
It is.
It's 2 different things, and
that
you
helps
can
it.
isolate it.
For sure, very much so. The shoulder hit helps.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
The Wicker Man. The bees.
The bees.
The bees.
Killing me won't bring back your goddamn honey!
This movie's batshit nuts.
Yeah, this is all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees!
Oh man, the tracking job. Oof.
Oh, that's bad.
His skin's not
He
even
should
red.
have looked way more fucked up.
He's got like just a boil on
He
him.
doesn't look bad at all. I don't want to sit in that much makeup.
I mean, it's like there are aspects that are really well done.
But man, it's like maybe motion blur on the
Yeah,
bees.
it's the motion blur.
They're very crisp, those bees.
Yeah,
It's
it's like-
tough that they're behind the mesh. That probably doesn't make it
Yeah.
easier to deal with.
I mean, the tracking on his head, like when he was shaking his head from the side there, like that was like
That's pretty good.
not easy to do,
Yeah.
and they managed to basically mostly pull that off. For me, there's like not really any contact shadow
Yeah,
between
that's a
any of the
big
bees
one.
in his face.
There should have been way more bees.
Yeah, you're
It would have
right.
been way more horrific. He's not, there's like, you know, I feel like you could survive that many bees.
Probably.
See, that's what, like, this is a bummer. Like, Neil LaBute was on set being like, are these bees gonna look real? And the guy was like, they'll look great. Trust us, they're gonna look really cool. They'll be super scary. And then you're like in the room being like, we can't get any better? And they're like, no, that's it.
Oh man.
God bless them. You know, they're trying out here.
Nicolas Cage is giving it his all.
Exactly. An odd man, Nicolas Cage. Yeah, he was almost the villain in The Green Hornet, but wanted to play it as a white Jamaican man. And we did not think that was a good idea.
If you enjoy these videos, we drop them every Saturday, but you know what's even better? Is subscribing so you don't miss them. So consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you.
I subscribed. These messages got to me. You eventually, I was like, why have I not subscribed? They really are pushing it.
Airbags.
Airbags?
Yeah.
That's so weird. Is anything else missing?
No.
Neighbors. I get asked about this almost more than anything.
Really?
Yeah, because it's one of the biggest jokes in the movie.
I remember that now. Oh man, yes.
Was that a dummy?
Yes.
That's a dummy.
I love dummies.
That is
I love
almost
dummies.
in camera. Like, by the end of shooting, we could watch this in playback, basically. Which is why, like, I'm amazed that this works as well as it did. Because, like, literally, like, you cut to a dummy, and then the dummy slabs back down and hits the chair. I looked at the position over and over that the dummy hit the chair in, and it was kind of on its side. And then literally, I stood on that desk and just hurled my body down at the chair. Like,
Props for doing a chair fall like that. Though the dummy did most of the
the
work.
dummy
right?
did most of the work. But a good dummy goes a long way.
Dude, I love dummies.
A dummy will do a lot.
Okay, let's do this, man. All right.
We did it again in the second one. The joke's so nice, we did it twice.
1, 2, 3, and 3.
These are silly jokes. We honestly spend so much time on them because, like, if the physics do not seem real, it just isn't a funny joke. Like, it's physical comedy done with visual effects, and that is, like, a really fine line to walk. And, like, there's, like, this scene of, like, Paul Blart where, like, this ostrich is, like, kicking him or some shit, and you're just like, ah. Like,
No,
to
I know
me,
the shot you're talking about.
like-
He gets kicked by a horse into
yeah,
a car.
and that's, like, the definition to me of, like, that is not right, and like it does not feel real. It feels like a visual effect, and that to me is not as funny as when it feels real in some way. Me and Evan directed this pilot, and the opening of the pilot, it was described as this. It was described as we're in outer space. We see like a ball of energy, essentially, like hurtling through the cosmos. And it was trying to establish the tone of the show, which is very specific and very strange.
It has like a tangible feel to it, which is not something that you can easily get from just computer generating something or trying to make it photoreal.
This is 100% computer generated.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that. I was like, it looks like a miniature, but I'm willing to bet it's not.
It's all CG. And it was just an easier look to achieve in CG than if we were trying to make it look big and expensive, basically. The whole thing was, we were like, we can't afford this. It just won't look good. Like Guardians of the Galaxy had come out. We were like, people are seeing space in a very well-produced way these days. And we just, literally, you're not going to be able to afford it. And I'm a big fan of the original Star Trek. And those kind of old space movies. And we were like, what if we really just try to make it look like that and not even try to make it look real or like Guardians of the Galaxy or Star Wars or one of these things? What if we go like the complete opposite direction and try to make it look as analog as humanly possible and just embrace that and tell the audience, like, this is the look of the show. Like, we bounce between this like stylized thing to like a more real thing, and we bounce back and forth, and that is what you're getting. It's kind of like a comic book. It was something I look at and I'm very happy with, because like it was leaning into our limitations and making it a part of the piece and using that to make it look unique and special, instead of just trying to make it look like as quote unquote like good as we could make it look. It's a theme in our work when I take a step back and think about it. We make people pop.
As one of the world's foremost leading experts in exploding heads and bodies.
Exactly, yes. It is something we've done a lot.
Could you break down for me what goes into a perfect exploding human being?
You need to have a real thing explode, and you need way more blood and guts and shit than you think. Much more than an actual human could ever hold. With this, I remember they kept showing us, we would always be like, walked out to a parking lot where it's like, okay, it's time to watch the garbage bag explode again, and we'd always be like, bigger, bigger, bigger. And they're just like, this is more than a human body can hold. And we're like, that is completely irrelevant. Like, that doesn't matter. We need 10 times more than a human body can hold if that's what looks right on camera. And that's something we're always telling effects people. And probably like one of the biggest conversations we're always having is like, we're always like, we want the squibs to be huge. People do try to impose reality on you at times, not understanding the bigger picture. And I understand how, like, if you're an effects person, part of you think so. It's part of my job to tell this person, like, they're breaking reality by having 20 times the amount of blood a human body has. But it's also your job as the filmmaker to at times be like, I know, I don't care. I don't think me breaking reality in this way will damage my vision, and I think it'll work fine, you know? It'll help the moment. It won't hurt the moment. But yeah, you need a lot more blood than you think. And you need to blow it up with real explosives.
I love it.
Hey, so you may already know that we've got extended cuts of the React series on our website, corridordigital.com, and this one is no different. So you can check out this scene plus some others, such as Seth telling us about what it really means to be a producer, on the website. It's really fascinating. Full episode on corridordigital.com. You can get a free 2-week trial. We've got other stuff there too, such as Son of a Dungeon, our super, super ambitious D&D project. Anyway, check that out. In the meantime, enjoy this episode. Thank you.
Tsunami, Snake. Tsunami! Woo!
Escape from Los Angeles. Have you seen this movie?
Of course I have. The surfing scene?
We're looking at the surfing scene.
Gotta be the surfing scene from Escape from LA. That's a cool shot.
That looks good.
That's a good shot. I can even get behind that to some. That's it. That's bad shit.
Oh my gosh.
You can't be that. This is where like you storyboard a thing and you're like, it's gonna be amazing. Because you actually look at the shots and they're the right shots. Like, they are the right shots.
They're the
you know
right
what I mean?
shots.
Like, it's over him onto them. It's over them. Like, it's giving you a sense of geography. It's telling the story very well. He's a great director. It's shot right.
But it's like there's so much going on in this shot.
So much. It's ambitious. I'd say it's ambitious.
Because it's like this camera is following along with these people who are surfing. And the thing about
Surfing's hard.
surfing.
Whenever you're trying to show someone do anything on a surfboard other than just surf on a wave normally, you're doomed. There's that James Bond movie where he's like surfing down it. Like, surfing, Point Break is it.
Yep.
Because they're just surfing. That's it. They're not surfing after someone. Surfing should not be used as a mode of transportation. You should not try to get from point A to point B on a surfboard.
Like, oh, I'm late for work. I gotta surf.
I'm gonna surf there. That's where you fail. If you're trying to move your character on a surfboard. A surfboard, you go out to the water, you come back. That's what a surfboard does.
So the reason for me this scene kind of doesn't work is how the water actually looks, because it's one of those surf parks. What you're seeing is a very different sort of dynamic with water. They're being hit by water from behind. This is like the tsunami, and yet all of the water we're seeing is literally going the opposite direction. And it's like, you might not be able to describe what you're seeing, but you can feel it.
Yeah. I could forgive all that
Okay.
if not for some of these shots. Like, this works for me, even though it's like it is coming the wrong way. It doesn't bug me that much on the grand scale of things.
Right.
This is like so crazy.
And there's just like
That's the worst. That's the worst shot of the whole thing.
the tiny little water squirt in front of his bicep there.
Exactly.
There is, I mean, obviously there's like a million things going on with this, but there's one thing that stands out to me as a really common mistake in visual effects. And that is when you have elements that you're adding to your scene, like you need to add them in at the same scale that they were in real life when you filmed them. So that splash was like a 4-foot tall splash. It needs to be a 4-foot tall splash here. It can't be a 3-inch tall splash. And it's like, I see it with fire, I see it with sparks, I see it with smoke, where they film it and they try to make it look like it's a different scale, and it never works. All right, so Seth, your name is John Carpenter, and
Yes.
you've just been delivered this shot.
Yeah.
What kind of notes do you
Camera
give?
jiggle, I would say that would be. I'd say what are we telling the audience the camera is mounted on? Are we telling them it's on a crane? Is it being driven in a little ATV with a crane mounted to it? And it's a weird thing. I think it makes it more real when you feel like you understand how they filmed the scene. Because audiences get like, oh, they would need to have a camera there. It's like, and that makes it seem more real if it was an image actually being captured by a camera. And then he doesn't look like he's there. I would say I'd say, could we shoot him out on a real wave somewhere or something like that? Could we throw buckets of water? Could we do anything? Could we jettison water behind actual Kurt? Please. Could we take Kurt out into a parking lot with 100 garden hoses and just spray a wall of water up behind him? Please. That's what I would honestly try to do. Is I would try to, if I got that shot back, I'd be like, let's try to find some in-camera way to reconcile this moment.
So I was looking at that one stunt guy who was doubling for Peter Fonda, and I was like, he looks familiar. Is that Tony Hawk?
Is
Wait,
it?
what?
It's Tony Hawk.
What?
That's
Tony Hawk.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
on
really
the right
funny.
there, that's Tony Hawk.
The taller one.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's got like
Yeah.
a fake ponytail on.
Hey, bud. Hey, buddy. Listen, I know you're here for Seth Rogen. He's not here anymore. He left. Okay, but I'm here. You got me, and that's just as good, right? Courtesy of today's sponsor, Vessi, we've got an entirely new sneaker, the Everyday Move. This shoe is where purposeful design meets technology. It has a patented Dymatex material, which has pores so tiny on the top of it that it keeps water out. It is 100% waterproof. This shoe knows what time of year it is. It will keep your feet warm in the winter and cool in the summer. It also has the V02 midsole, which is designed to deliver all-day comfort and support with additional energy return with each stride. And it's still the same incredibly lightweight, flexible design that is basically like your foot is wearing nothing but socks. These sneakers, not only are they inspired by the silhouette of water, the giver of all life on this planet, they also are giving back to water. For the launch of the Everyday Move sneakers, Vessi has partnered with Charity Water, a nonprofit organization to help bring clean and safe water to people in the world who are in most need. 100% of donations will go towards helping end the world's water crisis. So not only when you buy these shoes are you doing a favor to yourself, you're also giving water to people. step aside, everybody else, because Vessi's got a brand new thing in town. And if you're interested in getting $25 off your pair of the Vessi Everyday Move, check the link in the description below or go to vessi.com/corridorcrew for $25 off your order. That's vessi.com/corridorcrew. It's raining right now. Do you want to go outside and play in the rain? Let's go. Oh, jeez. Hey, don't show his head. Don't show his head.
Thank you for joining us for Visual Effects Artists React. I forced myself on this show. It was a pleasure to be here. I'm glad I did. It was fun talking to these guys about visual effects and my own work, which is probably my favorite thing to talk about in general. So thanks for giving me the opportunity.
When Seth says he forced himself upon us, what he really meant was, I wrote and then deleted the, hey, do you want to be in the show about 5 or 6 times.
And then I was like, can I be on your show? Just alone in my garage making vases.
Thank you so much for shedding light on a bunch of your stories and sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure. I've loved it. I'm not leaving.
We got a guillotine right there for you.
Yeah, exactly.